Oh, 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 hi. Oh, hey, hi. Me again, Mr. Joswiak, and more of the communication process. Super excited that you're back. Super excited that you're back. Listen, let's rewind. Let the first three terms are already in the notebook. Oh, what notebook, you ask? Get your notebooks out. Okay, get a pencil or a pen or any writing implement. All right, the first three terms ought to be in your notebooks. And don't forget, pause, take notes, rewind, take more notes, play, wait for it, wait for it. Oh, take notes. All right. The first three terms that should already be in your notebook: sender, receiver, and the message. All right. Sender, receiver, message. Now, again, if it was just this easy, the sender has a message for the receiver. They own it. They want to send it off or ship it off or transport it to the getter, the receiver. The goal, so that the receiver understands it exactly the way the sender wants it understood. If it was just that easy, nothing would fail. No communication problem. Now, today, we're going to get the next three terms. Notice, please, that the next three terms that we get are written in red. Warning, danger. Okay? Written in red. This is because these terms cause problems in the communication model. They cause communication to break down. All right. But first, before we get the next three terms, let's do this. I'm going to give you a quasi real world example. Okay? I'm going to give you a real world example in which we have a sender that has a message for a receiver. So this ought to be some fun. All right, because I'm going to make it like you guys. Let's go for an example that involves school. This school we're in, Lakeville North High School. And you can come up with, there are thousands and thousands, I gotta get my hair cut. There are thousands and thousands of messages that are sent around this school every day. Okay, you're watching one now. But listen, if a teacher, wants to tell a student something, there's a message. If a student wants to talk to another student and has a message for another student, there's another example. A coach that says, hey, all y'all players, practice has been canceled. The practice has been canceled is a message. All right? So there are thousands of messages that happen around this school. But here's a good one. Let's pretend that we're going to drop in a sender and a receiver right now. All right? Let's pretend there's a guy, and let's, for the sake of fun, let's call said guy Tony. Tony has a message. And his receiver, his target, his intended target for this message, let's call the receiver Tina. All right, and just because that's fun for me, Tony has a message for Tina. Yeah, this will be a hoot and a half. Tony's message for Tina is a pretty simple message, a pretty simple message, but it's an important message. Later on in life, there's a big deal coming up. Later on in life, there's a big thing. All right, it's called prom. All right. And Tony's message for Tina is, I sure would like it if you go to the prom with me, Tina. Now, and I don't know why he talks that way. Again, because it's fun for me. All right. Tony, the sender, owns a message that he wants to transport to the receiver, Tina, the getter of the message. The message itself, what he wants her to understand completely is, I sure would like it if you go to the prom with me. Hey, what do you think, Tina? You want to go to the prom? The thing that Tony wants Tina to understand exactly. So no problem, right? No problem. That's going to be, yeah, there's problems. There. Did you hear that too? Or was it just me? Oh, hi. There's problems. There are problems, okay? And one of the problems is associated with the next term. Look at the next term tacked on to the sender. The next term is encode, E-N-C-O-D-E, E-N-C-O-D-E, encode. All right. This is the job of the sender. And the definition of encode is that the sender picks a code in which to put the message. What? Yeah, you pick a code to put the message into, all right? And it'll get super easy if you understand that all languages are codes. The English language with our alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, the alphabet, that's a code. English is a code. Spanish is a code. French is a code. There's also Morse code. Listen. Morse code. Yeah, it's a true story. It's a true story. Okay. There's so many different types of codes. You might have had a secret language code with your friends. It's a fun concept to think about how many different languages are out there. It's very ethnocentric of us to ask why everybody just doesn't speak English. Okay, stop that. The world is rich with these cultures and codes. Really, seriously. Okay, a little bit of trivia. Do you know that the code that almost single-handedly saved our butts in World War II, the code that we used that the enemy forces couldn't decipher, that code was the Navajo language. They put a Navajo speaker on one end and a Navajo speaker on the other end, and they sent secret war messages. Encoding. You need to, the sender Tony in this case, needs to pick a code in which to put the message that he's going to send to Tina. Now, how can that fail? How can that fail? Well, first of all, if Tony uses Morse code, the bells. If Tony uses Morse code, okay, no, nobody understands this. Listen, dit dash 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 dit. That's SOS. SOS. It means help or save our ship, which translates today to help. But Tony's not going to bang out, "Will you go to prom with me, Tina?" in Morse code. That's ridiculous. That's silly. Okay? Why? Why is that silly? Well, take a look at the next term. The receiver's ability to decode. Decode is the next term. D-E-C-O-D-E, decode. Okay, here's how that's defined. Decode is the ability for the receiver to take apart the code for understanding. Listen, the receiver takes apart the code to understand it. All right? So they have to have that ability to decipher or take apart the code. Okay? That's where the Navajo language in World War II really helped. Nobody could decipher or take that code apart. None of the enemies, anyway. True story. Okay? Okay, so listen, if Tony bangs out his "Will you go to prom with me" in Morse code, I mean, He's going to fail. Communication is going to break down. Joswiak, that's ridiculous. Why would he do that? Okay, well, let's take a real world example. Let's pretend that Tony and Tina have sat in Spanish class for the last 4 years, and across the aisle in Spanish class, Tony has watched her, he's looked at her, he's thought, oh, no, Tina. Okay, Tony is really, quite frankly, enamored with Tina. Okay, so now Tony thinking, wow, it's our senior year. We've been in Spanish all this time. I'm going to ask her. I'm going to ask her to the prom, and I'm going to whip out my big, gigantic Spanish vocabulary, and I'm going to impress her. Okay. I'm sorry. Tony's going to whip out his big Spanish vocabulary, and he's going to impress Tina. So he asks her to the prom in Spanish. He asks her to the prom in Spanish. Yeah, but here's the deal. Here's the thing. Tina has cheated her way through every single Spanish class she's ever had. Tina has cheated on every single Spanish cheating at Lakeville. Tina has cheated on every single Spanish test she has ever taken. She doesn't know Spanish to save her butt. Okay? She knows like mi casa is Susie's casa. Okay? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. She doesn't know anything as far as Spanish is concerned. So when Tony asks her to the prom in Spanish, when he chooses that code, Tony encodes in Spanish. Tina does not have the ability to decode or decipher or take apart that code for understanding. Communication crashes and burns. Now, we never think about this. We never think about it. Okay? I make mistakes, even. I've studied this stuff. I've got degrees in this stuff, and I make mistakes. There was one time I'm hanging out minding my own business. I'm giving this lecture right now, this lecture that I'm giving to you right now, to a whole classroom full of kids. And I look over, and there's a student, and he's got like 2 books on his desk, and he's got his phone, and he's recording what I'm saying on his phone. I look over, and I go over, and I just looked at him, and I said, what's going on? His name was Bjorn. He was an exchange student. He said, Mr. Joswiak, I am exchange student. My name is Bjorn. Your words are big. And I talked with him for a little while. And Bjorn was going home using his recorded lectures, and he was really basically, he was transferring my lectures with those 2 dictionaries that he had into his own language, his own code. Okay, I made a mistake using verbose vocabulary in my lecture. I made Bjorn sound pusillanimous in his own mind. I made him think of himself as pusillanimous. I really did. Okay? And there's another example. English can be broken down into subcodes. There's kindergarten English. Let's just say 8th grade English. There's English of the of the high school, 12th grade. There's English of the academy, collegiate, academy. You may not have understand the word verbose in my lecture here. You may certainly not have understood the word pusillanimous. So when I use those words that are esoteric, when I use those upper level words like that, okay, I may be making a mistake right now in my coding, my encoding. If you can't take apart words like esoteric, verbose, pusillanimous, now it begs this. I'm going to tell you this like I'm looking at you. Man, oh woman. Here's one of my favorite collegiate texts. My favorite collegiate text. And, quite frankly, it's coded in the language of the academy. It's coded in the language of the academy. Okay? And the real problem is your professors are not going to dumb this stuff down. Your professors are not going to dumb this down. They aren't. If you can't decipher, if you can't take this code apart, you're gonna fail in your first semester at the University of Minnesota or wherever you go. And there's a real problem. Again, we don't study vocabulary so we can get 10 points on Friday's quiz. We study vocabulary so that you understand the language of the academy and that you don't sound 17 the rest of your life. Okay? I'll come back to pedagogy of the oppressed later in life. But trust me, you go to St. Thomas, you may feel pusillanimous in your first year. Okay? Pusillanimous, I know, listen, we've all heard the term, but we don't go on and explore, and we don't put it in our brains. Okay? How many people have watched The Wizard of Oz? The Wizard of Oz. Oh, man. When the Scarecrow asks the wizard for a brain, the wizard looks at him and says, "A brain? A brain? Any pusillanimous creature that crawls upon the earth has a brain. What you need is a testimonial." And he hands the Scarecrow a diploma. There's so many things wrong with that, including but not limited to the fact that you've all heard the word pusillanimous if you watched The Wizard of Oz. But you don't care. You can't decipher it or decode it. Okay? All right. So Tony, let's get back to Tony. Because the dude, all he wants is to go to prom. Okay? With Tina. Okay, all right. Tony knows now he has made a mistake. All right? Tony encoded in Spanish. Tina did not have the ability to take that code apart or decode it. She looked like a deer in the headlights. She even said, I don't know Spanish, Tony. I've cheated through my Spanish coursework. Now Tony's got to fix this. Tony's got to fix it. So Tony does something that I mean, he's a pretty smart guy. Tony does something that's going to fix it. He chooses 8th grade English as his code. Tony is going to go right back to the question, will you go to the prom with me? But this time, foolproof, fail-safe. Tony is going to choose 8th grade English. All right? Because Tina can decode that. It's going to work. It's going to work. Oh, it's going to work except for this next term. Channel of transmission. Channel of transmission. Channel of transmission. Listen to the definition. Channel of transmission is the physical way through time and space that Tony chooses to move the message. Channel of transmission is the physical way through time and space that Tony chooses to send his message, to transport his message. Physical way through time and space that Tony chooses to send the message. Listen, he can't just beam it into Tina's head. If he sits in Spanish class and goes like this and looks across at her like, and he tries to beam it in, she's not going to the prom. She's wondering, whoa, what's with this guy? So Tony has to like send that message to her somehow, physically, through space, through the air. Okay? All right? There are so many ways Tony could do this. And as a teacher of, I don't know, 20 bazillion years, I have seen so many lame ways that people ask people to the prom. Okay? I've seen some things that work, and I've seen some things that, dude, why would you do that? I've seen it all. Okay? Like the student that comes in with a puzzle piece. Mr. Joswiak, would you give this puzzle piece to Shelley? Because every teacher's going to give her a puzzle piece, and at the end she's going to have a puzzle that says prom, ? Tony. Okay, listen. Well, that piece sat on my podium for like 3 days, and Tina had like 2 pieces out of 6 at the end of the day, and she could, it's okay. The channel of transmission failed, and there are so many channels of transmission, right? Okay, look. This is a channel of transmission. This thing here is a channel of transmission. Hold on. Oh my gosh, I told her never to call me here. Okay, that's a joke. This is a channel of transmission. Tony could text Tina, I want to go to the prom. Tony could do something we never do. Hey, hi, Tina, this is Tony from Spanish class. You want to go to the prom? Tony could do that. Tony, I don't know. Tony could write her a card with these women in weird hats, okay? And she gets the card and says, prom? Tony? Okay? There are so many different ways Tony can ask, hey, Tina, you want to go to the prom? Okay? Tony could bust into the dean's office. He could bust into the dean's office and he could punch in the secret code. Well, I almost told you the secret code. Tony could punch in the secret code for the intercom, you know, and the whole school hears, hey, Tina, yeah, this is Tony, you know, from Spanish class. Tina, listen, I only have a few seconds because they're breaking down the door. Hey, listen, Tina, you want to go to the prom with me? Okay, listen. Tony has options for the channel of transmission, the physical way through time and space to send his message. Even that, even the intercom can fail. What if she's in band class when Tony busts in that, and she's playing her bamboozler, and everybody else around her is playing their wamboozles and their bamboozlers, and it is loud. It is loud, you know? The band room is just, she's never going to hear that. All right? Understand that, okay? The channel of transmission is a classic way communication fails. Sorry. Oh, hi. He could put a billboard out on Highway 35. And maybe she found a faster way to school. She doesn't drive that way anymore. You know, he takes her to a wild game back when we used to have actual games. He takes her to a wild game, and he puts it up on the Jumbotron. But she's in the bathroom, you know, peeing. She's peeing, and he's frantically trying to take a photo of the Jumbotron. Okay, Jumbotron. There's a speech teacher for you. Hi. Channel of transmission fails all the time. How many times have you ever heard, didn't you get my text? Or I called you, don't you check voicemail? Blah, 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 blah. Did you get my, no, I'm not, blah. I was the coach of the speech team for 14 years. Okay? The speech team, communication people. There was one time I had a message to get to all of the receivers. As a sender, I knew channel of transmission was a classic place that this thing breaks down, crashes and burns. So I had this deal where they were supposed to check the postings in various different locations. Then I also had, oh my God, I also had the captains of each category call and leave messages with the team members, because the message was that the bus was going to be a half an hour earlier for the Saturday tournament. Instead of leaving at 7:30 in the morning on Saturday, trust me, it's early, we were going to leave at 7 a.m. Okay? I spent so much time choosing different channels of transmission for that message. I still had 5 people miss the bus because the channel of transmission failed. Okay? All right, now listen. Let's recap today. Encoding is where the sender chooses a code, but they have to choose it with the receiver's ability to decode in mind. Tony isn't going to choose Morse code. Okay? Tony has to think about the receiver's ability to decode or decipher or take the message apart for understanding. Encode, choosing a code in which to put the message. Decoding, taking that code apart, deciphering that code for understanding. Okay? There. Except for channel of transmission. The channel of transmission, notice the arrow in the previous diagram that moves from the sender to the receiver. That's the transporting, the shipping, the sending, the physical way through time and space. Okay? Channel of transmission. The physical way through time and space that Tony chooses to send that message. Okay? There are some good ones. Hey, Tina! Like verbal face-to-face. If Tony walks up to her verbally, hey, Tina, hey, Tina, without that, okay? Tony walks up to her and asks her to the prom. What could go wrong? Because I know, you know what? He slips this in her locker. He slips this in her locker. She doesn't go to that locker. She's got 3 minutes of passing time. Nobody uses their lockers anymore. Okay, Tony, your channel of transmission fails. But he goes up to her verbally, face to face. Now he looks in those baby blues and he goes, hey, Tina. Hey, Tina, hey. You want to go to the prom with me? Fail safe, right? No problem. Well, oh yeah, sorry. There are still plenty of terms that we'll see in red that are places the communication process fails. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. The next video is going to show you that Tony still has serious problems.